Next is we're going to introduce our special guest today. He's the director of the Long Beach Small Business Development Center. Ted Hiatt oversees a staff of 14 business consultants and support staff. During the past 5 years, Ted held a variety of roles within the SBDC program in Los Angeles, where he served as legislative liaison for the network. Ted has managed several federal and state grants and is particularly proud of his work with young entrepreneurs in Watts, as well as the launch of a Spanish language assistant program in East Los Angeles. Ted previously worked for an independent film production company, Once Upon a Time Films, and helped produce movies in Canada, Spain, and the U.S. Ted has written several screenplays and has pitched film and television projects to ABC, Sony, Fox, CBS, and Warner Brothers. He has also worked in international film distribution. Ted comes from a family of entrepreneurs and has a history of working with public and private partnerships, including St. John's Child and Family Development Center in Santa Monica. Ted holds a BA in Media Arts with a minor in Spanish from the University of Arizona. Let's give a nice welcome to Ted Hiatt.
We're having some technical difficulties. That's okay.
Our problem appears to be the wireless microphone. So you can either speak down here or don't turn on that.
Okay, that's fine. I did give everybody's been provided with a PowerPoint. And I also provided everybody with a sample customer service value statement. We'll get into that. But we're having some technical difficulties, so let's just kind of wing it. Thanks, Linda, for the introduction. You know, my resume is very strange, I would say. There's a lot of different things on it. However, the one thing that, thank you, I appreciate that. The one thing that has kind of been a through line for me is like working with the public in some kind of degree. One thing that wasn't on that is I've done a lot of retail in my career. I worked at Nordstrom in the 80s when I had hair. And that was, I think at that point, Nordstrom was kind of the gold standard of customer service, and we'll get into that.
Now, just as a show of hands, I've seen some of the tables around here, but how many folks are in business? Is everybody here in business now? Yes. Okay, so we have some are, some aren't. I want this to be, you know, let's talk people, let's have a relationship here. Who is, if you're not in business now, what do you, do we have bankers here? Who do we have?
Education.
Education? Banks? Okay, great. I always like to know my audience a little bit. I mean, basically, I'm going to talk about customer service today, but what I really want everybody to take out of it, and you guys all are in customer service in one way or another, everybody in here, but what it's become now is a relationship. Customer service is a relationship. Any relationships take work. Relationships are online. Relationships are person to person. Relationships are everything you do with a customer is customer service. Whether you're looking at them or not, is there signage? Can they find you? That's kind of, I used to just think about customer service was when I walked into a store, did they greet me? Were they nice to me? And we can't think about it like that anymore. It's changed. And I'll get into some examples of what I think is really good customer service and what I think is, not so great. So that's kind of just our agenda for today. I'm going to give you a lot of information, but I feel free to raise your hand. You're not going to throw me off. Let's talk about it. Let's get physical. So again, it's not just saying hi to your customers. It's actually they need to. You don't want to make it hard for your customers to be a customer. A lot of small businesses do that, and we'll talk about some of those things. And you really only have one chance with customers a lot of the time, and if you don't make that a good experience, you're probably going to lose them, and they won't come back. So again, customer service is every interaction with the customer, and these are examples. But the phone, email, chat. That's kind of interesting. I think I've had some experiences with like Ticketmaster where I go into a chat room, and if they say there's a chat room there and I click on and I send a message and no one responds to me, I'd say that's bad customer service. They told me it's a chat and I'm chatting by myself. I don't like that. But again, I think the important thing too is it's also everything you do before, during, and after a sale. So did you follow up with the customer after? I mean, Peggy is very good at follow-up at the chamber. I always know what's going on at the chamber. She sends information out. She's got a survey on the desk. Some people complain about surveys. I don't. I mean, I try to fill them out as much as I can because I feel like that person cares about me when they ask me for a survey. Now, if they don't follow up with information, if I have a really big beef with them, they don't follow up on it, and I go on Yelp and everybody seems to have the same complaint and it's not being addressed, yeah, I don't know if that's good customer service. So Walt Disney, kind of the gold standard of customer service. My wife happened to have worked at Disney, so between my wife's Disney, I'm Nordstrom. Oops. So we're kind of picky people. We're nice people, but we're picky when it comes to customer service. But in many ways, I'd say Disneyland, even though it's exorbitantly priced, is fantastic customer service. I'll give you an example. My daughter, my beloved daughter, I was already down about $500 at Disneyland. She drops her Mickey Mouse ears, and we can't find them. We backtrack. I go up to a kiosk. I say, "Sir, have you seen a pair of hot pink Mickey Mouse ears?" Which I wasn't excited to have to ask this guy that question, but I did because it's for my daughter. He said, "No, but I'll tell you what. Go to there's a store right up the street there. Go to that store. Tell the manager what happened, and she'll take care of you." And I was like, "Okay." What? So I went into that store, and the manager, without a beat, I told her what happened. She just said, "Okay, well, pretty much whatever you want in the store, you can have. Let your daughter pick something out." And I said, "Anything?" And she said, "Absolutely, anything she wants." So my daughter, being a sweetheart, I was like, "Get the big, get the big." And she picked out this little thumper stuffed animal. She was happy. I was happy. Interestingly enough, they have a really good lost and found policy there as well. And people do return things to lost and found at Disneyland, I found out, because at the end of the day, we went and checked, and the Mickey Mouse ears were there. Now, part of me, I'm kind of a pessimistic guy. I thought, well, it took them a while. Maybe they just went and grabbed a new pair of Mickey Mouse ears to keep my experience happy. And if they did, I'm okay with that too. But it was. I mean, that to me was like customer service at its best. And they probably have it somewhere in the pricing for that kind of scenario. I probably paid for that anyway. We all do when we go there. But that's okay. To me, that was fantastic. So I kind of touched on this earlier. 78% of consumers have bailed on a transaction or not made an intended purchase because of poor customer service. I've definitely done that within the last month. I did that online recently. I did that in a store because I was waiting in line too long and I got tired and no one was looking at me. They didn't greet me. Again, I'm kind of picky. I used to work at Nordstrom. I feel like people need to, if I'm in a brick and mortar, people need to address me. Again, though, you maybe don't have a brick and mortar, so are you, like the chat room example, are you engaged with people online? You need to have a policy in place for that. Don't say you're available if you're not available. 91% of dissatisfied customers don't voice their complaints; they just don't come back, and that's 91%. That's very telling. You're just never going to see them again. And they'll probably tell their friends, "Hey, don't go to this place." So what is customer service? And I like to use the Nordstrom, again, I'm sorry, I keep talking about Nordstrom, but it's what I know. Versus Ross Dress for Less, which I also know very well, by the way. I'm a huge Ross Dress for Less fan. However, they're two different models. Nordstrom, you go in, the store is immaculately constructed, everybody's super friendly. Although I do think it's gone down, frankly, since the 80s, but it's still, the customer service is pretty good. I go on their website, I can find anything I want. It's never a problem. Ross Dress for Less, you're kind of on your own. You go to Ross, you're going to be waiting in line. They may greet you, they may not greet you. Their website is not set up for sales. Actually, you go on their website, that you can't buy anything from their website. However, I feel like both stores do a good job of managing my expectations as a customer. I pay a lot of money at Nordstrom for things, but I feel like I get good service. I'm okay with that. But I spend way more money at Ross. Some of the stuff I'm wearing is from Ross. But I know that I don't have expectations with Ross really for customer service, but they never told me that I should really. It's just I go in there and I dig through stuff, And I know I'm going to be waiting in line for a long time, and I'm totally okay with that because they have managed my expectations. So I don't know how anybody feels about Ross versus Nordstrom, but that's my take on it. Let's go to the next slide. So loyal customers, this is the key. So it's kind of like people are always looking for what they don't have. If you're in business now, like take care of your customers that you have now. You know, it's of course you're always looking for new customers, of course, but you need to make sure that your loyal customers are happy. And here's why. I mean, they're completely less sensitive to price changes. So if you have to raise the price of your churros by 25 cents, you know, they might say, come on, but they're still going to probably show up, and you can explain, you're going to have a relationship with them, you're going to be able to explain to them why you had to do that. Maybe it's because the minimum wage went up, and you can talk to them about that. Because you're probably going to have to, some of you folks that are in a small business like retail, you're probably going to have to raise your prices coming up when the minimum wage goes up. Your loyal customers are also going to tell your story for you. So you can go out and advertise all you want, but what's more powerful than to have your customers tell your story for you? You know, people do that on Yelp now. And I mean, that's kind of how I find new places, is really on Yelp. And if I see, we'll get to Yelp in a minute, but if you're having problems on Yelp and people are complaining about something, you need to like literally respond on Yelp. You need to get on to Yelp and explain your cause and explain if you made a change. That's super important. They're also, so your loyal folks are also, they'll usually buy more from you. And if you put out something new, they'll get excited about it and they'll probably buy it. And you don't have to spend as much time with those folks, educating them on your products or that kind of thing. They know what you have. They know that they're there. They're the folks that are there every day. If you can't provide adequate service, you know, you're going to lose customers to your competition. All of us in small business, our competition is, if you can beat them in customer service. You really can. Like, it's a relationship again. Okay, there's give and take, but you have to be the person that they're your familiar face. They know you're going to be there. They know when you're open. That's another pet peeve of mine. Sometimes small businesses, things happen, I understand, but there was a sandwich place I used to try to go to, and I never knew when it was going to be open. And basically they lost me. You know, I don't want to think about it. I just want to go get my sandwich, right? So customer service drives sales. I mean, it basically serves the same purpose. If somebody has a bad experience with you, you probably lost them, right? Your sales will go down. I just kind of talked about Yelp, and I just want to touch on that again. I've seen, there's a Spanish restaurant that I like to go to. His Yelp reviews are pretty good across the board. However, there's one constant, and it's that if I go into the restaurant by myself, I can't get paella. Paella is only for 2 people. Now, I don't love to eat alone, but it happens, right? And I like paella. So why is he continuing? He's basically losing me as a customer, and he must be losing tons of people because they're writing about it. And he's not responding to it, and I guarantee you he's losing customers. So if a customer wants to buy something from you, why would you not allow them to buy something from you? I can't quite figure that one out. You know, his feeling is, well, he's told me the paella needs to be hot, it needs to be a certain temperature, and he can only prepare it in a certain bulk kind of thing. And I still refuse to understand that, and I don't know why you wouldn't sell me my paella. And paella is expensive. The paella is like the most expensive thing on the menu. So when I buy something, when I go to lunch by myself there, I'm buying something cheaper. And I'm kind of grumpy about it. So how do you know what kind of service customers want? You have, again, it's a relationship. You got to talk to them, ask them, ask them, how was the experience? Survey them. It's not, you know, there's a auto body shop that I'm in a relationship with right now. They survey me all the time. And at first it bothered me, but then I realized it's consistent, and it's made me go back there. I've never been really, I usually just kind of go to the closest place, but this place is kind of, it's very powerful. I think the training is very good with these guys. Every time I go in there, they're trying, I can tell they want to get me in and out of there. And I would say it's one of the better run auto body shops. It's in Long Beach, it's called ACA Auto. So this is a big one for me. And we kind of talked about the Spanish Paella restaurant policy, but this is another one. And if anybody's in here, I'm not trying to insult you in any way. I'm just telling you what studies say and what a lot of clients I have tell me. Are you taking cash only? Are you a cash only establishment? Because if you are, you're missing out on sales. You're either missing out on people that I don't have any money. I don't carry a lot of money. Okay, so I'm not going to go to the ATM and then go to your restaurant or go to your establishment to buy something. And if I do have cash on me, you're pretty much I'm going to buy whatever I have enough. If I have $10, I'm not going to spend more than $10. So studies show that the average small business that's cash only, they lose anywhere from like $7,000 to $10,000 a year in sales. Is anybody in here cash only? It's okay, I don't judge. I understand why you do it, and I would probably do the same thing, but I would caution you, it's moving toward a paperless, cash society. So make sure that you're equipped for that. I understand there's fees involved to accept credit, but we'll get to a restaurant example later, and what I found when I go to this restaurant is that it's a lot of people that are older, and I don't see a lot of younger people in there, which tells me eventually that restaurant may not make it. But they do still take personal checks, which baffles me. So this is just some point of contact with your business service. With your customer service rather. Is it friendly? I mean, to me, again, this goes on your website too. If I go on your website and I can't find your address, like it's buried somewhere, and I can't find your phone number, I can't find your hours, you lost me. So make sure that is like clear. That's got to be the first thing people can see. Your physical facility, if you're a brick and mortar, is it clean? Like I've seen some really beautiful stores where I can tell they care about the products, they care about me as a customer, and I'll go in there because they change it and I want to see what they've done. And then I've also seen the opposite of that, where it's like, wow, I mean, I've seen flyers up on walls from like 1997. I'm like, geez, they've been looking at that thing since 1997. Don't they want to take that flyer down? Employees, this is important. You have to train, right? Your employees all have to be telling the same story for you. The policies have to be really clear to the consumers when they come in. If one employee tells me that it's $29.95 and another one tells me it's $39.95, that's a problem, right? If one employee tells me that their return policy is 30 days and another one tells me 45 days, that could be a problem. Follow-up, I kind of mentioned the auto body store. They do you guys have a system? Does your business have a system on improving operations? Do you survey? And if you do you follow up? Because if you survey, and nothing seems to change, people feel like they're wasting their time and that you don't care. Again, training, super important when it comes to customer service. Considerations, you should listen to your needs. It's a relationship. Listen, work with your customers. Ask for feedback. I mean, again, the Peggy example, she's surveying you today, right? What are you asking? You're saying, was it worthwhile? Did you like the food? Maybe. Did you get anything out of it? Would you come again? Super important. And to me, that's also respecting me as a customer. 33% of consumers say they've experienced rude customer service. So that customer service, again, it can be in person, it can be online. I think it's kind of rude in a way if I go to your restaurant and you're closed. Now, it's not rude in that you insulted me, but if I was there on a Tuesday and then I go to the next Tuesday and you're not there, I'm probably not going back. And it's kind of like, it's not rude to my face, but it's kind of rude. I always listen. Okay, this one's tough because I've been in this position. We've all had agitated customers, right? At some point, or you've been an agitated. I've been both. I've had both in my life. When someone's really upset with you, with your policy, it's never a good idea to say calm down. Never. Somebody recently told me to calm down, and it didn't work. It got worse, actually. Just listen to them when they're agitated. Try to, hopefully you have a policy in place. If it's a very specific complaint, hopefully you have a policy in place that you can go back to and you can reference and you can explain why whatever happened. and let them know that, you know, you don't want that to happen again, you don't want to lose them as a customer, all that kind of thing. You really don't want to lose them as a customer. Now, some customers maybe you do want to lose, and that's okay too. I mean, we've all had folks that just built the system and you get tired of it, and that's okay too. You're not everybody's going to like you. Not everybody's going to like your business, that's fine. But the less of these conversations you can have, obviously, the better your business is going to be for it. So we talked about surveys. Trust is important too. Your customers have to trust you. If they feel like you're, you know, shorting them in some way, again, you might lose them. So again, is the customer always right? Show of hands. Is the customer always right? I kind of agree with this. But I also have seen the customer be super wrong. But if it's my store and I want them to come back, they're always right. So again, you need to have phrases that you're training folks on how you can make your customers happy, how to problem solve an agitated customer. All this stuff you probably want to have in writing. That way you can train folks. And if it's just you still should have it in writing because you can remind yourself, right? What's your policy? And maybe your policy changes. Maybe your customers are telling you something that you didn't think about, and you want to change your policy accordingly. So again, define how to deal with unsatisfied customers with action steps. You can role play. So these are just some steps to get a strategy. I have a handout for you guys as well. It's just an example of what it can look like. But a lot of it goes down to hiring the right employees as well. If you're a brick and mortar, In-N-Out does a great job of training. I feel like every time I go to In-N-Out, people are super attentive. They're working hard. I mean, small businesses, we're not necessarily In-N-Out, but we can hire people that we know that care, that have, that care about our customers, that care about our business. Skills can be taught, right? We can teach people how to ring somebody up, but we can't teach their attitude. So if you can hire people with the right attitude, it's going to help your business. So training, right? Do you guys have ongoing training for your folks? Maybe you do, maybe you don't, but it's definitely something to think about. When I worked at Penguin, it's a clothier, they were really big on when anybody walked into the store, we had to say hello, and if there was a sale going on, you had to say everything in the store is 30% off. And I'll tell you, sometimes I would see, whenever I said that, people would like light up. There wouldn't necessarily be signage, and people would buy more every time. And if I saw one of my coworkers not say that, 9 times out of 10, the people that walked in left. So it's important to, again, everybody's telling the same story. Everybody's engaging with the customer. Okay, so this is we're going to get into some case studies here, and I welcome anybody to share as well. But there's a restaurant that I go to. Okay, they're going to remain nameless. Okay, but I feel like it's a real challenge for me to go to this restaurant. It's not easy to be a customer at this restaurant, and here's why. They don't take credit cards. Okay, they take cash only. They do. I referenced earlier. They take personal checks, which I don't understand, but they do. They'd rather. I've never seen anybody write a check, but it's a policy that's visible by the cash register. Their hours of operation seem to change all the time. I just called them the other night to do some pickup, and they were closed. And there was no voicemail, so I had to call twice. The first time it just kept ringing. The second time, some lady just picked up the phone and said, "We're closed. We're closed," and that was it. So I didn't. Yeah, but could have been a little nicer engagement there. Their wait staff is slow, and they don't. They kind of care. They kind of don't. They don't have a website, so I went to check and see if they were open, and there was no website to tell me whether or not they were open or not. Okay, so that's a little frustrating. Their ambience has not been changed, and I'm serious, since I was told in 1979. So it's kind of cool in a way, but it's kind of dirty, and they could probably use a decorator. Their policy is strange. So if I'm by myself, I'm supposed to sit at the bar area. I'm not allowed to sit at a 2-person table. If there's 2 of us, we can only sit at the 2-person table, but then the 2-person table's full, so we have to wait, but then there's empty tables over here. I actually saw somebody drop an F-bomb at this place and leave after they'd placed an order. So again, the owner just left money on the table. We rang the person up and they took off after. So don't make it hard, right? We all have money to spend. We all want to go out and enjoy ourselves, but don't make it harder than it has to be. Now, the food is really good at this place, though. I gotta say so. But I would eat there. It's close to my house. Again, I would probably eat there at least 20 more times a year, easily. If not for all this, I would probably eat there 20 more times a year. So think of how many bald guys like me are out there, right? They're losing some business. So this is actually an example of good customer service. This is a really small, interesting store in Long Beach called Port LBC, and they have men's clothing. And they try to do everything in the U.S. Like their vision, you can really tell a lot about a business when you walk into a brick and mortar. Certain ones you can, certain ones you can't, but this one in particular you can. They're always changing product. They're always moving product around the store. They have a bar in the store, which is interesting. And once in a while they'll have parties and they'll invite customers to show up and look at the new products. They're engaging me all the time online, sending me their new products. The staff is great. Like they're super helpful, and they listen, because I wanted to buy a gift card for somebody and they didn't take gift cards. Now that one was baffling to me. Like you could just take my money right there and write up a gift card, probably, right? They didn't have a policy in place. I said, hey man, I really want to get a gift card. Well, they ended up changing their policy, so they listened to me. Which made me realize that they care about their customers, right? So now they do take gift cards. I had a shirt that I bought there and it shrank. I didn't have the receipt. They recognize me. I am loyal, okay? So they recognize me. But they took the shirt back, grabbed another shirt off the rack and gave me a new one. And I don't expect every store to do that, I understand. But believe me, I'm talking about them right now, right? And there's a room full of folks, so. It worked. So I was always right. I was right. They made me feel like I was right to say, hey, the shirt shrank and I can't fit in it anymore. So this is kind of this is my customer service crazy story that I don't think would happen anymore. I'm pretty sure it wouldn't happen anymore, but in the 80s at Nordstrom, somebody literally, the policy was you could return anything without a receipt. And there would be no questions asked, and they would give you your money back or give you a new product if it was damaged or whatever the case may be. The word on the street in Nordstrom in the 80s was that somebody returned a tire to Nordstrom, a used tire. Now, Nordstrom doesn't sell tires, to my knowledge, right? They didn't then, they don't now. But a guy came in with a tire, like a beat-up tire, and they gave him like $100 for it. Now, that guy ruined it for all of us, by the way, because now you have to have a receipt, you have to, you can't be visibly like thrash stuff and get your money back necessarily. The other thing, when I was working in the men's department there, a guy brought in like a pair of just beat-up Wayfarer glasses. These things were like 10 years old. Again, it's a relationship. Just think of it that way, and I think it's easier. At least it is for me. So that's pretty much all I have to say. Does anybody have any questions? Anybody have any comments?